We have ridden about 30 bikes this year.
Quite a few.
From the Benelli Leoncino to the BMW M1000R, the Royal Enfield Interceptor to the Triumph Street Triple RS.
And even the Vespa Super Sport and my much loved BMW R65 Cafe Racer. But which bike delivered the biggest grin factor and takes out the first ever Biker Talk Bike of the Year as the best bike for a pie run?
It's always so hard to do these best of lists.
Absolutely.
Because it just depends how you ride, where you ride, but also just what price bracket you're looking at.
And also, you ride pretty much every day of the week.
Yes.
Whether you're doing a commute to the office or, riding through the Royal National Park over a weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty much in the same position, although I must admit, I do take the car when it's raining.
Yeah, so I'm just a little bit more hardcore than you are.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, so we thought that it was important that our best bike list should reflect that. All kinds of riding aimed at everyday riders. Let's start with best inner city bike. And there's a few contenders here like the Super Soco TC Max.
If you say so.
Which people might be surprised that we mentioned, but I thought it was worth a mention here. And of course we have the Royal Enfield Hunter.
Which is also great value at about $7,000.
Absolutely.
But for me, it's got to be the Vespa Super Sport. It's got charm and a cool factor to go with that ricotta, warrigal green and lemon myrtle pie with an oat milk latte on the side. Tegan, what's your thoughts on the pie and on the bike?
The pie and the coffee sound great. Absolutely agree with the bike. It's just a cool way to get around the city. I would absolutely count it as the best bike to get around the inner city. Now to the best budget bike. And again, there's a few honorable mentions like the Royal Enfield Hunter, the MT07, of course, and also the Benelli Leoncino.
Now, yeah, there's a bit of a price range with this category. You've got things like the Hunter that comes in at about $7,000,
Yep.
all the way up to the MT07, which is about $13,000.
13.5.
But I think anything under, say, $15,000 is probably considered, in my mind, a budget bike.
Yeah.
So for that reason, this one was easy.
Yeah.
Even though you haven't ridden it, I have spent a lot of time on it, and it's the Royal Enfield Interceptor. It's the only bike to take to your local servo for a 4 and 20 or out to the pub in the country for whatever they have warming in the pie oven. Now, I did make the decision on this one. You haven't ridden it, but
Yes.
just spoken to Royal Enfield and they're sending one up for a couple of weeks for you to have a ride on.
Ooh.
So you're going to get that, sometime in January to cruise around on. So I'd be really keen to hear what you think of the Royal Enfield Interceptor because it's honestly a bike that I really love.
Yeah, and I'm very keen to take it for a bit of a ride, so win-win.
Happy days.
And finally, our gourmet pie run and craft beer, no expenses spared, bike of the year.
When it comes to pure grin factor, when you offer a proper pie run into the countryside, for us it came down to 3 bikes.
I thought it was 2 bikes.
It's now 3 because I decided the winner is my BMW R65 Cafe Racer.
We're not counting our own bikes because that's a little biased.
But that's the most fun bike I've ever ridden.
We're only counting the bikes that we've reviewed this year.
Fair enough.
So it's down to 2 bikes.
Okay.
So it's the 2023 BMW M1000R. We just couldn't go past this one. And of course, the Triumph Street Triple RS.
Look, they're both cutting edge with class-leading electronics, incredible engines, and both deliver an amazing rider experience. Tegan, if you had to pick one, which one would it be?
God, it's so hard to pick between these 2 bikes. Like the M1000R had probably the best specs and electronics
Absolutely.
of any of the bikes that we've ridden this year.
For me, ever.
And that balance of power and maneuverability, it just looked impressive. It had all that carbon covering it and the wings. It just stood out so much.
Yeah.
And then we have the Street Triple with amazing power while remaining nimble and responsive. It made me feel like a better rider than I was. And that's thanks to the tires and that smooth power delivery. Plus the exhaust sounded great as well. Between the both of them, they had the top 2 quick shifters of any of the bikes we've ridden this year.
Easily.
Yeah, they were both very comfy to sit on. We could do long rides on both of them. The Street Triple was a little bit narrower, which probably suited my style of riding a little bit more because I am commuting in the city a bit more. And when you factor in the price difference, which is about 20 grand, for me, it has to be the Street Triple.
Yeah. Look, they're both comfortable and they both handle superbly, but I wouldn't ride the BMW M1000R anywhere near its potential.
Yeah.
So that, combined with the price, means for me, it's also the Street Triple RS. I said it at the time, I don't think I've ridden a better bike this year and not much has changed. So what bikes are you looking forward to riding next year, Teagues?
Well, the main one that I'm super excited about, which we're getting in the new year, is the Ducati Panigale V2.
Yep.
And then the other bike, which is a little bit left field, but intriguing to me, is the Ninja 7 Hybrid.
Interesting one.
So the Ninja for me is the bike that made me want to get into riding, which is very upsetting for Ross to hear. Because I just loved all that plastic, all those sharp angles, everything that Ross hates. But look, very excited to see how it rides. Never ridden a Ninja before, so very exciting.
And for me, I'm on the Moto Guzzi V100S Mandello at the moment, which I reckon if we had it a month earlier, it'd give the other two a run for Bike of the Year.
Yeah.
It is such a great bike. I'm really enjoying it, and we'll have a review up of that next year. But the two that I'm really excited to get on are both adventure bikes, and they're from my two favourite brands. The BMW R1300 GS and the new Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. I reckon they're both going to be fun, and I reckon they're both going to lead the market in their segments.
Absolutely. We have set up a Biker Talk Bike of the Year playlist with our reviews of each of the top bikes that we've mentioned, so check that out over here. It'll give you a bit of information on what we liked and a little bit of what we didn't about each of those bikes.
We'll see you next year. Have a great break, and remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can ride a motorcycle.
And that's kind of the same thing.
Later.
Done.
We're done for the year?
Done for the year.